Peace and welcome to The Culture right here on your source for all black news. That's right, the Black Star Network. Folks, I'm your host tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. We got some great discussions lined up for you. First and foremost, let's talk about the latest that's happening in the Ukraine. We check in with our analyst, Dr. Gerald Horne, to give us some insight about this latest development where House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and a delegation from the U.S. Congress has decided to meet with President Zelensky and the president of Poland. We'll have that conversation up next. Also, let's talk about the fact, should Netflix be saved? In an effort to try to downsize and save the company, Netflix lays off a number of women of color. We'll talk about the impact of that. Also, a black student has been discriminated in Texas for his hair, and we'll give you what the mom has to say of Dyree Williams. And later, let's talk a little bit about Teacher Appreciation Week, folks. It kicks off this week. So how do you love your favorite teacher? All right, all of that. And of course, we got trends posted doing the most. So stay with us. That's happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. Folks, welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we have to kick off the show today, giving you the latest about what's happening in Ukraine as a delegation of members from Congress decided to travel across the waters and to meet with President Zelensky in Kyiv. This delegation was led by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who is the number 3 person in charge if something were to happen. But Nancy Pelosi went across the waters and made it clear that the U.S. was going to continue to support Ukraine. Here to talk about this latest move and the impact that this visit has on the larger picture of the big war in Russia and Ukraine is Dr. Gerald Horne, professor of history, race relations, and he is a scholar and specialist looking at the foreign and international affairs. Dr. Horne, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, brother. How are you?
It's all good. How about you?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. We're going to be joined also by Culture crew members B. Fly and Jules P. in just a moment, folks. Let me just talk about this because Dr. Horne, I thought this was pretty interesting that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was sent to speak directly to President Zelensky. Why didn't they send the vice president?
Well, you may have heard that she had been infected. I assume she's still in quarantine. And of course, as you know, Vice President Harris's popularity ratings by some measures are below those of Mr. Biden. But with regard to this trip by Nancy Pelosi, I think it's a signal that the United States is digging itself a deeper hole in Central and Eastern Europe. And it's even more remarkable that this trip was led by Speaker Pelosi because from her San Francisco district, she has been a China hawk. She was scheduled, in fact, to go to Taiwan just a few days ago before she came down with the COVID infection as well. And it seems that she is in a position to connect the dots, to point out something that many global analysts have suggested, which is that the United States, before the Russian intervention in Ukraine, was talking about China as the big enchilada, China as the ball game, China as the chief peer competitor to the United States of America. Mm-hmm. And yet, the signal we get from Beijing is that not only is Beijing avidly backing President Putin in Moscow, but it's not necessarily unhappy about the United States being bogged down in Central and Eastern Europe. It reminds me of what happened in 2001. Recall that in the spring of 2001, there was a confrontation between U.S. and Chinese fighter jets with the United States not necessarily getting the best of that encounter. There was a confrontation on the way between China and the United States. But then, alas, what happened was 9/11, September 11, 2001, and the United States got bogged down in Iraq, Afghanistan. China was happy about that, and it got a breather. It seems like China's getting another breather now, and it puzzles and baffles me that someone like Speaker Pelosi, who is in a position to realize what's going on in the world, apparently does not.
Just make sure. Going back to your point, Dr. Horn, about the vice president having COVID, but I'm wondering, do you feel like they are trying to get some agenda items accomplished, some objectives accomplished, which is why they still proceeded with having this trip with Speaker Pelosi? Are they trying to work on a certain timeline at this point?
Well, I imagine that the timeline is for the Russians to be weakened as speedily as possible. That is the import of this recent announcement by Mr. Biden that 33 billion more US dollars will be poured into the Ukraine. Speaker Pelosi, I'm sure, also recognizes that in her home city of San Francisco, you have a spectacular increase in the level of the unhoused and the homeless. Right. There are constituents in her district who I actually know who have been raising a ruckus as to why that has not been declared a state of emergency, particularly since a disproportionate percentage of those who are now suffering in the streets of San Francisco happen to be Black men. But somehow the money cannot be found to assist and aid them, but billions can be found to pour into Ukraine, even though we already know that Ukraine is a sink of corruption. It would not surprise me if we found out subsequently that many of these weapons are not necessarily getting to soldiers in the front line, that they're being sold on the black market or worse. And I'm disappointed that Speaker Pelosi apparently has not been able to figure this out.
So I'm right there with you, Doc, because I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed every time there's an announcement of more funds going to Ukraine, to be honest with you, sir. Because I'm thinking to myself, like, where's this money coming from? Like, it seems like it's just out of thin air. Like, we've been in this conflict has been happening for over 30 days, going 60 days or so. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, here's $1 billion. Here's another $1 billion. Then the president said, oh, we're going to give $33 billion. I'm like, wait a minute, hold the train a little bit. Like, I understand that America has its interests. I'm not, Dr. Horn, I'm not completely naive that America's interests are going to be put, their political interests are going to be put before the interests of the American people. Some people are. I'm not. I'm not surprised. But I am a little bit concerned that you put so much weight behind this one situation, and then you have all of these other quote unquote factors that erodes democracy happening, which could be remedied if there was more investment in these other domestic issues. So I'm not understanding the rationale that our interest, quote unquote, across the waters takes precedent over the domestic interest. I'm not understanding that. Now, you've been studying history. You know that that's how it's always been, it seems like, when you look at history. But it seems like now more than ever, the more investment you put in elsewhere, the less investment that's happening at home, and the American people are becoming more and more dissatisfied, divided, and becoming more hostile to one another. I don't know how to reconcile that reality, sir.
Well, one way to reconcile it is to look at the stock market. If you look at the portfolio of Lockheed Martin and other so-called merchants of death, those who are characterized as the military-industrial complex, you'll find that their stock is doing quite well. Thank you very much. Not least because the United States government is buying weapons to send to Ukraine. In fact, the story from the Wall Street Journal just a week or so ago is that the United States has depleted its own arsenal because so many weapons are going into the Ukraine. And you'll get a glimpse of what I'm speaking when Mr. Biden himself visits a major manufacturing plant this week in Alabama that manufactures these very popular Javelin anti-tank weapons that have been apparently successful on the battlefield in Central and Eastern Europe. However, I would also caution the policymakers and the executives in Washington to pay attention to this random comment from the New York Times this morning, where a well-respected French analyst feels that the United States is moving the goalposts when it suggests that the purpose is not only to prop up the Zelensky regime, but also to weaken Russia. The Europeans, particularly the French, which have just gone through a rather difficult election, don't want to have to face an angry and irritated Moscow that has been prompted into that kind of stance by the United States, which is thousands of miles away. And that bespeaks a kind of fissure in terms of this, what had been thought to be a rock solid alliance between the Western Europeans and the United States of America. So it's not just the United States people who are raising questions about this quagmire in Central and Eastern Europe. It's also some of the so-called allies as well.
Absolutely. I want to bring in my culture crew, Jules P. and B. Fly, to be a part of this conversation as well. Jules, thank you so much, brother. And B, thank you so much for joining us. You know, this situation, and Jules, I'm going to start with you. I know there are a lot of factors out there. There are a lot of like moving parts to this situation. But what are your big concerns or questions that you have for Dr. Gerald Horne here?
When you made about Kamala Harris, mine went about Kamala Harris when you talked about her rating, and then due to her COVID situation, if we sent her instead of Nancy Pelosi, what do you think the outcome of these conversations and these meetings would be?
I tend to think that it wouldn't make that much of a difference, because you have to realize that these high-level foreign delegations are basically being choreographed by State Department and Pentagon handlers, and that people even as experienced as Nancy Pelosi are basically handed a script. Kamala Harris would also be handed a script, and I'm sure she would be able to read from that script. So I don't think it would make that much of a difference substantively.
Gotcha.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Dr. Horne, talk to us a little bit about this latest squabble with the steel plant in Mariupol, where they had these 100 evacuees. What's the significance of this?
Well, to get the full significance, you have to look beyond the U.S. press. If you look beyond the U.S. press, you would easily gather the point that some of these folks that are in this plant in Mariupol may not be there on their own volition. The foreign press suggests that they were held as kind of human shields and hostages by the remnants of the so-called Azov battalion, these neo-fascists who are tied to the Zelensky government. You may recall that just a few days ago, in the meeting between the United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Guterres, and President Putin in Moscow, Mr. Putin suggested that a kind of exit would be provided. And apparently that's taking place. So let's hope that it is taking place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. B, what are your questions for Dr. Horne?
I'm wondering what other companies are represented on the stock market that are profiting as a result of our new war. So you already mentioned Lockheed Martin. All right. Are there any others that you're able to point us to?
Well, General Dynamics, Boeing is a major military contractor, as well as being a producer of commercial jets, the Boeing 707, 727, the Dreamliner, et cetera. But this raises another point, which is that for Boeing, this crisis presents quite a dilemma, because in order to make advanced aircraft, that requires titanium, which Russia is a major producer of, but the United States is supposed to boycott Russia, which then leads to Southern Africa, which is another producer of titanium. I think that one of the major effects of this entire conflict, when the tally is taken, will be that the United States, if it carries through on its promise and pledge to decouple not only from Russia, but from China, this will place much more emphasis on the United States' relationship with Africa. And I would trust and I would hope that African Americans pay very close and careful attention to this trend.
Let me just share with a couple of our watchers have to say, Mike V checked in and said, look, the disenfranchisement of Black men has become a necessity in aiding in the ideology of white supremacy and comfort of Western society. So he's talking a little bit about the fact of where we're at this point at home as a result of all of this investment across the waters. McCole said, I have the same question too, Farajii. Where's all this money coming from for this war? We have a homelessness crisis, food apartheid, inequalities in education. We need monies for these things. I'm wondering, Dr. Horn, how is the U.S. going to, quote unquote, explain to the American people, because there's a lot of money shelling out. We're not in Congress when these votes are when these budgets are passed. So how does the president explain? Because I haven't heard him come out and say, hey, before we move this money, I just want to let you guys know here's what we're doing. I haven't heard that type of conversation yet. I mean, we heard the prime time, we've seen the prime time address that the president made at the beginning of this crisis. But since then, there hasn't been a lot of, okay, guys, I'm about to update you again. Here's some more money. I mean, I just don't feel like there's no explanation. It's just like, boom, things are happening behind the scene. The president says, I want more money. And the American people, we're just left with our hands up like, well, what about gas? What about this? What about that? Why is there? I mean, should we expect some sort of explanation from the president?
Well, certainly. I think part of the problem is there hasn't been sufficient pushback in Congress. One is able to hear more questioning and dissent on a program like The Culture about this quagmire in Central and Eastern Europe than one hears in Congress. One of the more recent votes with regard to aid to the Ukraine, there were 410 congresspersons in favor and maybe 8 or 9 against. Virtually every member of the Congressional Black Caucus basically voted in favor. And so one understands why Mr. Biden does not necessarily feel pressure to explain his moves in the Ukraine while the United States deteriorates to the point where there are some who are suggesting that the United States has moved from the program of Build Back Better to Build Ukraine Back Better, which I think is an accurate and adequate summary of what's going on. And so I think it would behoove many in your audience who have these concerns to raise these concerns with your members of Congress, particularly members of the Congressional Black Caucus, which styles itself as being the conscience of the Congress. Well, somehow the conscience is missing in action.
Dr. Horn, talk to us a little bit about some of the latest comments that came out of Russia and Israel. It was reported a couple of hours ago that Israel lashed out over Russia over some unforgivable comments by its foreign minister in regards to Hitler having Jewish roots. What does that mean? Because Israel has been kind of staying cautious out of this whole conflict as well. So with that comment being made, with the sensitivity of Israel being on the line, does that put more strain on Ukraine? Or does that put more strain on America? Or is that just stays between Israel and Russia?
I think it's a bilateral question between Israel and Russia. These comments by Foreign Minister Lavrov, which did not go down very well in Israel. They called in the Russian ambassador in Israel for consultations. But I think that Israel realizes that there are bigger fish to fry with regard to their relationship with Moscow. Recall that Benjamin Netanyahu, the previous and perhaps future prime minister, became quite close to Moscow. In fact, you may recall it was not so long ago that Mr. Netanyahu was showing up so regularly in Moscow, we thought that he must have rented an apartment there. I think that this is a reflection of the fact that both Russia and Israel have an interest in what's going on in Syria.
Yeah.
Israel has an interest in what happens to the still substantial Jewish population of Russia. Israel also has to be very careful because a significant percentage of its Jewish population actually has roots in the former Soviet Union, and indeed immigrated en masse from the former Soviet Union post-1991 and the Soviet collapse. And many of these so-called Soviet Jewish immigrants still have a certain affection for their former homeland. So I don't think that this is more than a one-day story, but things are moving so rapidly in this conflict, one never can be too sure.
Absolutely. And that's why, Dr. Horn, one, we appreciate you coming on all the time to give us an update about this. But then two, why we need to have these conversations, because so much information and so many new developments are happening that a lot of times people, we kind of, after a while, we just zone out. We're like, oh, okay, some more stuff is happening. You know what I mean? Like it just, at first I think we were all kind of keeping up. Now we're in like this period where people are like, oh, okay, they still fighting? Oh, okay. You know what I mean? Versus, oh, let me see this. But there are, and I know it's hard, folks. I know it's hard, but I implore everybody just to stay posted, because things are moving so fast that we're in a moment right now, Dr. Horn. I think you can agree with me that a situation that a simple visit, a simple comment can just ignite a firestorm of criticism and reactions. And essentially that rhetoric starts to get even more heightened. So it's like we're all in this thing together. And I'm saying those of us, the American people, we're in this thing together trying to figure out what the hell our government is doing right now. In dealing with this whole situation. Dr. Gerald Horn, thank you so much, sir. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for being a part of the conversation with us again.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Dr. Gerald Horn, who is a professor at the University of Houston and also has been doing an extensive amount of study and research on race relations and international affairs. Folks, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's talk about what is happening with Netflix. Should Netflix be saved? That's the conversation that I want to have. I'm going to bring you up to speed on some of the latest developments in Netflix attempt to save itself. But I think it's still going to come down to us, folks, the subscribers. We'll have that conversation. So stay with us. A lot coming at you in the second 30 of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood-Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no!
punches.
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?
Folks, the streaming giant Netflix seems to be struggling right now. Earlier, a few weeks ago, it had posted that its revenue was declining, and that a number of subscribers, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, had already left the streaming site. 200,000 had already left, and some fear and worry that by the mid part of this year, millions of subscribers will leave for good. Now that puts the streaming giant in a very, very precarious position, hoping that they can save their platform. Netflix is also facing licensing issues with some of their hit shows, including Friends, Paw Patrol, and other shows along with that. Now, that is happening. And then on the inside of Netflix, it was just reported, folks, that Netflix has slashed or cut a number of high-profile culture and entertainment journalists from its staff, mostly women of color, Black women, Latino women, and Asian women. The disappointment comes in the fact that there has already been a number of issues that Netflix faced in terms of diversifying its workforce. And now with this recent cuts of jobs from its To-Doom website, which takes fans behind the screen, many are asking the question, is this going to be the end of the streaming giant as we know it? Here to talk a little bit about this is my culture crew. We got Jules P., who is a hip-hop artist and activist. And we also have a filmmaker, a director, and a writer herself, Miss B. Fly, who is the co-founder of Blackwater, a production house, and is the founder of Black Jesus Productions. I wanted to talk to you about this, B. I'm gonna bring you in too, Jules. Don't get upset. I'm gonna bring you in. But I wanted to get B's view on this because, you know, I had an opportunity, and we'll talk a little bit more about it later, but I had the opportunity to host your film Amethyst Love Gods over the weekend. And one of the things that you mentioned when talking to your audience is that you're in a very different space right now in terms of putting out content, Black content in particular, and that you weren't looking for a major distribution company, or you weren't looking for these streaming giants to try to pitch your film and other projects that you do. You weren't looking for that you understand that it was all about direct connection to the consumer. And now we're seeing this situation with Netflix. What do you make of this? Is this the end of streaming? Do you feel like people have gotten over it? I mean, what is this a sign of for you?
No, actually, I think the exact opposite. So many people are so into streaming. It has created a more competitive landscape for the Netflix. And once upon a time, Netflix kind of operated as this way as this renegade website to where you were able to stream independent content that you couldn't see on cable. And so now that is literally the exact opposite of what Netflix has become, So this is what we experience in the world of capitalism, supply and demand. We have a lot more streaming services in order to view our content. Excuse me, I've talked for an entire week, you know. And so so this really is sign of the time and sign of a very good job that we are doing when it comes to bringing more content to more people directly without needing to go towards one outlet for distribution. And so now Netflix is suffering because there are so many outlets that we're able to stream our content on. And so unfortunately, they are still making some very wrong decisions at their table. And unfortunately, the fewer women you have at your table, the fewer women of color you have at your table, the more wrong decisions you will most likely continue to make in this future. And so are we looking at the end? We might not be. We might be looking at literally Netflix setting up a PR bankruptcy. You understand? You know what I'm saying? And so Netflix will continue. Should they? Something needs to happen because the content is starting to get watered down on a lot of different levels. I'm a Netflix subscriber. My family is a Netflix subscriber, right. But when it and so we subscribe to a plethora of streaming services, you know. But as a filmmaker, I am rooting on the inside for us to be able to occupy our own digital real estate. And so, and right now, as long as Netflixes are propagating themselves as if they're the only place to distribute work, then we have a problem. And because that right there is a lie, you know? And so it's like, we have to be able to pull this veil back and understand at the end of the day, we all have power in our .com. We have that power, and we don't have to give all of our power away to the top 5 streaming services. Once upon a time, they did not exist.
Right.
You know?
It's only been a decade.
It's only been a decade.
It's only been a decade, B.
Right. And so at the end of the day, I'm tired of making, you know what I'm saying, of making more white men rich. I'm tired of, you know, like catching the tears of white men. Like, oh my God, we're losing our profit. Let's fire Black women. Listen.
So let me ask you this question before I get to my man Jules. Should they be saved?
What is there to be saved? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't believe they're losing. I don't believe they're about to close shop. I don't believe they're about to dismantle their service and we're about to sign on tomorrow and say Netflix is gone. Like, you know what I'm saying? So there is like, how do you it's not sick. Yeah, like, well,
the only way I'm saying being saved, and I hear you, and the only way I'm saying being saved, Jules, is the fact that Netflix is like an industry leader, right, in terms of streaming. I mean, there's a whole cultural term that we use, Netflix and chill. Nobody says Hulu and chill. Nobody, you know what I'm saying? Nobody,
Comcast and chill.
Nobody be like, yo, I'm trying to Amazon and chill. Like, this doesn't work that way. Everybody knows Netflix and chill. So it's such a major powerhouse in terms of streaming and in terms of providing content. Even though, you know, Jules, their content had improved, you know what I mean? Of course, they have, you know, big shows, Bridgerton, Squid Games, you know, some of their bigger shows, Bird Box, and all of those things. But now, and then you see a flock of A-list celebrities who are doing Netflix movies, right? We've seen that. But then you, on the other side of all of that growth and that talk of success and that talk of they're going to be around, you do have some things. It's like a smoke and mirrors. It's like some things are falling apart behind the scenes. I mean, if you don't, and I'm with B, if you don't have Black women, if you don't have no women at the table, please.
Your
you do,
failing.
buddy.
You're going down.
You're going down. And the woman is the last person you want to cut first.
That's not
you know what I'm
you
saying, in
open
the
the
situation.
door first. You
I
open
mean,
the door
because
first.
say it again,
Like, so you open the door first. You don't
right.
fire us first. Like, that's no.
Right. I mean, that's the last thing, because women bring, unlike men, Jules, and I don't know if I shared this with you. I remember when I was doing my radio show at Morgan, and I looked at my ratings, women were my number one listeners. Women, Black women. And so that led to me, it's like when you start to look at the data behind these shows and you find that you have Black women, or you have Latino women, or you just have all these different women that are tuning in, that is going to determine the agenda and the direction of that show. After a while, I started, hey man, we got to get more women on these shows. We got to get more women voices because women are tuning in. And we found that women are more loyal than men are. So talk to me, Jules. What's your take on it, bro?
So I got a couple of different perspectives and points. So I'm gonna start inside out. So let's start with the inside first. So discussing the women that are now being basically released from Netflix. One, I know personally, I don't know about 95. I don't watch TV, nothing like that anyway. I work, I do a lot of stuff in the real life world of existence. So I don't really know about what's going on television or streaming services. But you know who does know? Women know. And that's how I find out. They tell me the shows to watch. They tell me, oh, watch this. This is what I'm watching. I don't really hear dudes telling me about that. You know, I'm a sports kid. When I'm watching TV, it's only sports. I don't watch nothing else but sports. Right. Everybody in my camp knows this. You see my all I do is watch sports. That's my niche. That's what I do. Sports. But when it comes to actually getting hooked to a show, start watching content, it's from a woman. So from hearing that you're releasing, you're targeting the women of color from, and I heard that there was that was formed in it's recently new. It was formed in December.
Was formed in 2021.
Yeah, so it's not even a year.
Last year. It's not even 6 months old.
Yeah. It's so that's problem number one. Like without that, to me, a woman is a foundation. A Black woman is definitely a foundation. I mean, again, raised by a Black woman, I was, so I understand where foundation comes from. So when you have the ideals and insights they have to add on to what they're, trying to bring to the company and merge on to get the viewership up or try to get the content diversified, that's not the group that you want to cut. Okay, Now let's back out from the inside and let's go to outside. I remember a lesson. I know we're going to talk about Teacher Appreciation Week later on, but I remember a lesson I was taught, I want to say maybe in high school in economics. And it's a simple phrase: when companies compete, consumers win. So when Netflix came out, that was the only streaming service. That was the end all be all. That's what you knew to go to. Now you have your HBO Maxes, you have your Stars apps, you have Hulu, you have Tubi, you have YouTube TV, and the content now, they're getting licenses before they even come out, whereas Netflix is still trying to get licenses from different shows that they're trying to put on their platforms. I remember just the Dave Chappelle twice. One with when they put Chappelle Show on without his permission and he wasn't getting down from it. And then two, when he dropped his special and then had that whole back and forth with the company. It's like you're kind of sort of now not you set the precedent. So Netflix gets you were the trailblazer. You get that credit. That's what you are. But the problem is now you have these other streaming services who are pushing out more content, more relevant content. I mean, what did we just talk about last week? The new show on HBO Max. What's the Baltimore show that just?
We Own This City.
We Own This City. It's on HBO Max. It's not on Netflix. Right. So I'm going to HBO Max. Once I subscribe there, like everything. Then you start saying, okay, well, HBO, I knew growing up, HBO from when I had Comcast, that's the channel I went to watch movies. So if I want to see more relevant movies, more up-to-date movies, I can go straight to HBO now, especially during the pandemic. They were sending movies straight to HBO Max. They weren't sending them to Netflix. So I didn't use my Netflix.
Right. That's true.
So you're losing your subscribers already on the basis that you don't have the content that is coming out currently. So you're trying to create shows or get content creators to utilize your streaming services to put them on there. But the problem is the deal that you're offering them is not good enough. Also remember, was about 5 years ago, the whole Monique issue that she had with Netflix. And basically what they were telling her that she wasn't that big of a star for what she was asking for financially for her work. And it's just like, so you've been on the front line of the news stations for all of the time. So it's like, all right, now you're about to get lapped. I don't feel like it's gonna, like, I agree with B. It's not gonna just burn, but it's gonna get lapped.
Jules, did you just say you're about to get lapped?
About to get lapped, baby. I mean, you gotta think, and I say even with like YouTube TV, I used to have YouTube TV. It's like I would go there because the shows that I watch, and then the partnership they already have with the licenses of YouTube, because it's called YouTube TV, all my content is already there. And they're getting current movies. So it's like it's just, you're now losing the race now. Like I said, you're about to get lapped because you're losing the race of what you're able to provide content wise. And then internally, all the problems that we've been hearing over the last 24 months, we'll just say 2 years, the last 2 years of all internal problems that you're having between financial arrangements for licensing that you're trying to get, financial arrangements for the stars that are shows that you're putting on your platforms, the news that you just had came out with the Tadum, I don't know if to call them committee, but the women that you're now basically releasing after you just started this in December. It's like you're like I always say, no PR is bad PR, and as long as your name is at the forefront, you're still getting hits. But at the same sense, we're also paying for a subscription that's rising. It looks like $1.50 every day on 3 months. And then you're trying to find ways to say, oh, well, now we're going to find why you're sharing passwords. We're going to stop that. Like, you're doing too much. I've been listen. You want to know a secret? Since we're on Black Star Network, I don't even watch my Netflix. I got 4 people watching my Netflix. I just pay for it. I don't care. And they're not going to do nothing about it. I don't care. I don't care. Like, can't do nothing about it. I don't even watch my Netflix. I got 4 other people watch my Netflix. I don't care. So that's 4 subscriptions you're losing right now. Because if I cancel, then what?
Yeah. Straight up. That's for real, you know. And so definitely, like they're doing a lot right now. Like just a year ago, they hire droves of women of color and then announce it. And so now, between then and now, it's like they have bullied their subscribers into third-party verifications and all sorts of things. Right. You know what I'm saying? They're limiting the devices that we're able to watch the content from. And so now they're complaining about the results of what happens when that happens. Like it's amazing. And so now they're canning Black women. Like, listen.
Well, I mean, but I think, and you know what? I forgot that Monique had that issue with Netflix a couple of years ago. Now that comes back, and it comes back to bite them in the ass, because you're like, bro, what was y'all thinking? You know what I mean? Like y'all were doing, because at that time, remember, Netflix was the giant. It was like, boom, like, oh snap, she couldn't get this deal with Netflix, therefore, man, she mustn't. Woo. Right. But they wind up paying, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, B and Jules. I think they wind up doing a show with either Wanda, what's the sister's name?
Wanda Sykes.
Mm-hmm. I think they wind up doing like a certain little special with Wanda Sykes, even though she wasn't completely, satisfied with the deal, but it was a little deal. But I think they wound up moving forward with her. So
they did.
Yeah. So it's like when you start to like Monday morning quarterback, Jules, you know what I mean? You look back and you're like, wait a minute. Y'all were like making some poor decisions from the beginning almost. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at Netflix now, a lot of their most popular shows are shows that have been imported from other countries. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? From everything from Korea to Italy to Spain. I mean, they've been imported. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of subtitle content on Netflix. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, we are tired of the we're tired of the way the colonizers are spoon feeding stories to us. Like we're tired of the damsel in distress white girl. Like we're tired of the American rom-com. We're tired of Jennifer Aniston. Like we're tired of the we're tired.
What has been 20 years since you've been on Friends?
Like we're tired, right. And so it's like the people want more, you know what I'm saying? The people want more. And so it's like, and we're able to get that and now experience that through content from all over the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, Netflix has to step their game up. And in order to even interpret what that means, they have to literally disassociate with the dinosaur of distribution. Like, it is a dinosaur. Like, that dinosaur is literally ancient, and it's archaic, and it is a relic, and it is frozen in time. And the people are literally breathing life into another system all the time. You know, like, we'll let you know really what's going on.
And here's what I think the other part of it being, and Jules, they got so excited because of their pandemic numbers. You know, their streaming numbers. Everybody was in the house. Now people are back out in the streets. It's like you got to do more. You got to do more to keep people in front of their screens. Personally, I don't. You know, it's a gamble because some people will tune into it and then others won't. You know, it depends on the movie. Right. It depends on the movie.
Do you remember when what was that, Luke Cage? Do you remember when Luke Cage shut down the internet because we were all watching Luke Cage? The entire world
show, man.
Was watching Luke Cage at the same time the weekend it was released, and it crashed. It crashed the system. Like, Netflix system isn't even set up to do what it fantasizes about. So it's like the moment we all jump on to watch the shit, we kill the server anyway. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we need more Netflixes so Netflix bandwidth can stabilize.
So I guess y'all wild today. But so at this point, do we need to keep streaming services? Because can I be real with you? Like, Jules, you were ultra real with us. You gave us TMI in some cases. But let me just tell you, I used to have a service where it provides, like, you know, it's not cable, but it's like you get cable, some cable stations, but you get local stations, right? And it's like now everything is a la carte. Everything is streaming. So you know what I mean? Like, for me, it's like we got probably like 6 or 7 different streaming subscriptions, right, to make up our viewing content. And guess what? The funny part is that we got these streaming services, and then we go back to just one. Like, we lay in bed, we turn on 1 or 2 streaming services. We don't even take the other ones. We just do 1 or 2. Right. So I mean, I'm wondering, like, if they quote unquote, if they put regular TV, because that's hard to find, regular TV, like your basic channels, like that's integrated into the cable package, or you got to get the subscription for that particular station or that particular channel. And I'm thinking to myself, this is probably doing more harm than good to the consumer. What do you think?
You know, regular, when we think about regular TV, all right, there's nothing regular about regular TV, all right?
Maybe I'm thinking from back in the 90s where you had like 3-4 stations.
No, listen, we're talking about what? ABC, we're talking about NBC, CBS, Fox.
Right. And
right.
Fox.
There's one more that I can't, but these are your tops. These are your networks. These are also the most expensive to advertise on, and these are the most paying. Okay, so if you're here, if you're working on one of these shows on the daytime or nighttime, you are being paid the most. If you are advertising daytime or nighttime on this network, you are also paying the most. All right, there's nothing regular. Like, internet, once upon a time, internet was trying to, and independent content makers were mimicking TV when it came to the way we even create our run times, right? And even the way we break down our treatments, break down our scenes, the way we rise and we fall, all of that was kind of given to us in a treatment by regular TV, okay? But today, regular TV is trying to be the internet.
Exactly.
Regular TV is literally has very few regular scripted programs. Regular TV is now designed for the regular person. The regular person can be seen on regular TV and that like through its game shows, through its reality shows. And this right here is what I believe is the new frontier. Like, I think we're tired of the celebrity. I think we're tired of celebrity, and we are looking at other more regular, accessible lifestyles in order to spectate, in order to purvey. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're looking at different types of content in order to understand new cultures. Like, we are tired of the white man told story. We see through it today. We assume that it's going to be a lie. You know what I'm saying? We assume that it's going to be historically inaccurate. You know what I'm saying? We assume someone's going to get shot on set. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's over. It's over. You know what I'm saying? And it's over. It's done. You know what I'm saying? By 2030, like, we will have more of our celebrities occupying their own .coms. Like, I need 50 to be gangster enough to put his money behind his .com and the work that he's executive producing by these Black women. I need him to actually do that and disconnect. So instead of beefing on the gram and on Twitter with stars and his contracts all fucked up to where I can't finish the season when I want to finish the season, he needs to go onto his own .com and really do that, because he can.
And you know what, AB, really quickly, we got like 30 seconds. In his situation, it goes to show you how much power you have and don't have. You see what I'm saying? Like, he didn't establish the .com. He didn't establish an alternative platform, an avenue to see his stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you got to beef with this major, production house. You go on a war of words with that. And it really shows that you don't have as much power. Yes, you can take away the content, but let me just tell you, if 50 takes away that content, Stars is going to be like, okay, it take a little hit, but you know how many other writers there are that want to get their content on that platform? You see what I'm saying? Like, there's all,
no, but
it's like,
there's, of course, they're going to stay
that's what
in
I'm
business,
saying. But you got to have it. All I'm saying is, to your point,
work.
But all I'm saying, to your point, B, is what you've been saying, which is having the vision to establish a separate platform. That way, when a situation like this comes up, you can just tell people, hey, look, I'm not dealing, we're not in business with Stars anymore. Come to, 50cent.com.
Right. And watch the whole thing.
And you know what? We're going to produce it. Matter of fact, I'm looking for new writers. I'm looking for this. And you start building that part of the platform. But I think that's when I looked at that 50 Cent situation, and even looking at this situation with Netflix, and really quickly, a lot of these women that were working for Netflix were very high profile journalists. They worked for various magazines like Vogue and other, publications. And they're on Instagram and Twitter begging for jobs. Now you are a major, well-established writer, and you're literally begging for jobs. And that's the sad part about it, that you did not have the foresight, the vision to get prepared for a moment like this. Look, I got to take a quick pause. When we come back, we're going to switch gears a little bit. Well, let's talk about the discrimination that one high school student down in Texas is facing, and I'll share with you what his mom has to say. Plus, also, let's look at what's happening with Teacher Appreciation Week. All this week, we're going to be giving a nod to our teachers, to our educators. We'll have that conversation. And, of course, we got trends posted during the most. So stay with us. A lot coming at you in the next hour of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second hour of the show here, The Culture on the Black Star Network. Folks, wanted to have a conversation about what's going on in Texas as a Black student has once again discriminated for his hair. Now, this Black student was prohibited from attending a Texas high school because of hairstyle restrictions. And I wanted to have a discussion about this because Texas is among 21 states around the country, folks, that have yet to pass or consider laws that block hair discrimination. Now, this is, as you know, the Crown Act was just passed against hair discrimination in 2019. It has passed in similar laws in 14 states, with 15 more considering adoption as of March 31st. But the Crown Act is becoming one step closer to becoming a federal law after the U.S. House of Representatives passed it on March the 18th. And that bill was sponsored by New Jersey Senator Cory Booker and will move to a Senate vote. Now, Texas, one of the biggest states in the country, is looking to deal with this issue, but have yet to deal with this issue. And so the story of Dyree Williams, who is a 17-year-old who was homeschooled because East Bernard High in Texas banned braided or twisted hair. Take a look at this, y'all. This is Dyree right here, 17 years old. And I wanted to have a conversation with my fantastic culture crew, B-Fly, who is the co-founder of Blackwater Production House, and is the founder of Black Sheezes Entertainment, and my man Jules P., who is an artist and activist as well, both who have fantastic hair. I have to say that, B. We all have fantastic hair. But we're in this situation, just like that we're seeing right now. Another Black student, another Black youth is being discriminated against for their hair. But now, I want to share with you what his moms had to say. And this was a quote from Ms. Desiree Bullock. Keenan, let's show this quote, brother. This is what she said about her hair harassment in Texas. She said, quote, "Once you cut their hair off, you cut off your line to your ancestors. You cut off your lineage. You cut off everything." She said, and just, it's not an option. We don't consider them dreadlocks because we don't dread them. We love them.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Miss Bullock. That's it. I don't wear
Mama
these
Bullock.
because I dread them. I wear them because I love them.
Thank you.
But it's interesting that we're still in this. This is 2022. The Crown Act has been around for a couple of years, Jules, and we're still in this. We still discriminating Black youth on hair. What do we need to do? Do we need to start a hair revolution and just basically say, okay, to any school, whether it's high school or college, whether it's to sports or entertainment, whether it's in the performing arts, this is my hair. You either love it or leave me alone. What's your take on this, bro?
Okay, so I'm about to sound off for a second because I've had my hair for since 2007. I've never cut it. I just always trim it down, but I color it. I do all types of things I want with it. And since 2007, I've only had one issue with a company that tried to target my hair. It was hair color. It wasn't like styled. It wasn't to the extent of Texas, where they're saying, against cornrows and dreads, but it was actually because of my hair color that they had tried to, make a way for me to change it. And the reason I say I'm about to sound off is because, one, I'm not in Texas. So and two, since I'm an adult now, it's easy for me to talk and go off. But I can imagine if I was in his shoes in high school, how much pressure that is, or having to be forced to be homeschooled because of my hair. I can't relate to that. So that I'm gonna take that aspect out because I share his mother's sentiment. But since I'm not in that state, which I'm glad, and I didn't even have cornrows or dreads in high school. I didn't get them until I was an adult. But I can't speak on that fact because in my mindset now, I know how I react. I would spaz out, but I could, I'm trying to imagine myself, as 14, 15, 16 Jules, trying to understand why is that a problem. I probably would have a sense of confusion. I still, I would understand what's going on, but I would have a sense of confusion. But to bring it to this topic of hair, so the situation I have with the company is my hair. I've always had my hair dreaded. I always had my hair colored at the ends usually. Sometimes I had the whole thing colored, but I always had my hair colored at the ends. Usually I go longer, so I don't just do the tips. I always do mostly, sometimes I do halfway up. So I had my hair red at the time. I always switch between red and blonde, sometimes an orangish tint, but I always try to stay regular, red, blonde, burgundy. Not going too hard with the greens and blues and all that. So my hair was red at the time, and I just got it freshly dyed. And I was at this company for about maybe 3-4 months. And then, nothing was said. And then maybe one day, the directors pulled me to the side after they seen my hair. Like we had like a company function where, more people got to be around me. I was always in my little space. So only my team knew, but my supervisor never said anything. It's just, as long as you got your work done, we don't care about your hair. Like you're doing your job. Like you're great at your job. That's all that matters. So we had this a function, and they pulled me to the side about my hair color. So my question was, well, why? What's the, they always want to hit you with the, the PC. It's like, company guidelines and, natural color, then blah, blah, like that. What ended up happening, a week went by, nothing was said. I was leaving out of the job one day, and another associate of another color had saw my hair. And she stated to me, she was like, "Oh, they let you keep that? Oh, because I can't wait to put the green and blues back in my hair. They said I couldn't have." And that's when I started to realize, I said, "Oh, so am I being used as the spiral effect to start a hair situation of not only just colored African-American hair, but for the whole entire company?" Because I know this was discussed once they seen my hair and she seen my hair. She was with her friends walking outside of the building at the time. So now they were all getting mindsets of the hot pinks and stuff they had in their hair before that, that a corporate company wouldn't, normally allow. But seeing my hair changed that opinion in their mind. So after that week went by, it was like maybe a mulling discussion. Nobody was really saying anything. So then they pulled me back into the office with the director, and he just eventually was like, never mind, don't worry about it. I'm not gonna make it. It's not a big deal. This and that. So I said, "Well, what changed?" And he was like, he was kind of beating around the bush. And I was like, "Well," I said, "let me ask you a question." I said, "Is my work being completed? Am I a bad associate? Am I missing deadlines at times? Am I late to work?" Notice all those questions. Okay, so what does my hair have to do with my performance? That question stumped him, and eventually ended up to me being able to keep my hair. But I also didn't want to be the target child of, oh, since he get to keep his hair, we're gonna let everybody else in the company dye their hairs and do this. Like, no, I'm not doing it for the organization. I don't care about nobody else. This is my hair. I'm not trying to be the forefront child to lead this movement on. This is just how I rock my hair, but I do my job. I had a conversation with my staff. I said, now, if I was one of those ones where I'm underperforming, this would have been much more of an issue, because that would have been a reason to either let's lead to a write-up or eventually getting me out of the company, because now I'm not doing my job, or I'm late, or I'm underperforming, and my hair is out of quote unquote company and corporate standards. So those are just like a couple of things that I think about when I hear these cases yet again in Texas, because I remember the case 2 years ago with the athlete in Texas, and it's just like I understand, I feel them, hang tight in there. My advice is, if the homeschooling is what the move is going forward until the act gets passed, because I'm not going to be able to, come up with a solution of going down there, rioting, causing a ruckus based off of state's laws. We all know Texas is just different. It's like different states. You kind of, when you've been around for a while, you just know, different states, different rules. You just got to kind of sort of adjust and get with. I'm not saying they're right. Yeah. But I just want to, based off the fact of I know me now, I'll probably be wilding out. Like me and my stage now, if I was down in Texas, I'll be wilding. But
let me ask you, for what was the industry you were working in?
It was corporate. I was doing like accounting.
Okay. So because the reason I'm asking is because some industries are a little bit more, strict than others, depending on what the work is. But this situation, is something that we have been talking about. Of course, we had a discussion with the sister St. Clair Dietrich Jules, who wrote the book "My Beautiful Black Hair." Right. she wrote that book, folks. Let me just show you this book right here. There we go.
Hi, book. I'll have you one day.
Yes. But she wrote this book, and we had a conversation. About it, and more importantly, it was like we're still in this place, B, where this is a very, very touchy, sensitive, highly politically charged issue, and I just don't wrap my mind around it. Maybe because I'm like a lot of other people. I wear my hair a certain way, even when I didn't have locks. It was still, for me, it's like, well, what's the point? What do you think we got to do to push the needle forward, especially in spaces like Texas?
I will actually Texas and Florida fall under other rules. All right, these are rogue and sovereign states in the United States of America. What happens in Texas stays in Texas, unfortunately. Because the laws of Texas don't govern the laws of Ohio, don't govern the laws of Maryland, and so Texas and Florida always end up, disappointing the culture. All right. They always end up disappointing the culture. And so Texas is a renegade, wild, wild west town. State. Like Texas is renegade. If you want changes in Texas, you have to change on a renegade level. So Mama Bullock did what she needed to do. Okay, she talked to the press. She was very clear. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do not dread my hair. Okay, she's very clear. And so within that, it kind of lets it. See, here's the thing that most people. I'm about to take you behind the. About to let the people who are not Black on the Black Star Network understand that within the Black community, there are several subcategories and sub-cousins. So within the entire world of locks, okay, we have communities that refer to their locks as dreads. We have communities that refer to their locks as locks. And so these communities are most of the time different tribes. All right. All of these tribes are melanated tribes and have the right to grow their hair the way melanated hair grows naturally out of our scalp. So every time the employer, the institution says, change your hair, and we change our hair, that gives the institution permission to make another person change their hair. But whenever we choose not to, and that's why it was so beautiful being able to see Mama Bullock's son's picture. What's his name again? Excuse me. What's the boy's name?
Diary Williams.
Being able to see Diary with his locks in school, with his locks out of school, you know, this is a beautiful thing, and this is going to shape him. You have to stand for something. And so if we shift on basic Black life, basic Black existence, like the way our hair grows, if we shift and allow colonizers, institutions, everyone to police us on such levels, then we will forever be policed. We will forever be policed, you know? And so it's like, and so she has every legal right to push, and she will push according to her financial power, okay? And so, and that's what we have to be able to do, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so there's a difference between, so there's levels to the shit, you know what I'm saying? There's levels to it, you know what I'm saying? Like being able to go to be so free Black to where I'm going to not only rock my hair long and nappy, but now I'm going to add color also. Like that's next levels of free Black. All right, we trying to just be Black. Like in the world, like you feel I represent free Black on a regular basis. I never expect someone to push their everyday revolution the way I push my everyday revolution, you know. But in our schools, we need to just operate on liberating being Black. So we need to stop cutting our hair because they say so. And we need to challenge what happens. We need to challenge what happens. You know what I'm saying? More parents need to be able to go to that school and advocate for that child. You know what I'm saying? More legal representatives need to be on the street. You know what I'm saying? To where we don't always have to pay in order to get that legal access in our schools for our children. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really important, you know, and every parent has that opportunity. And every parent knows when they're doing it and when they're not, you know? And so it's like, so I give it up to Mama Bullock, you know, for letting it be known, you know what I'm saying? And then using this as a way to educate her child on her terms.
You know what? And I'm with it because I'm all for the revolution in terms of, and I love how you said, like how much more of ourselves do we have to give up in order to assimilate into a culture that is already dying? You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying the quote unquote white supremacist culture is dying. Every day it's dying a slow death, right?
Thank you.
The white man gaze, the white male gaze upon women and men, Black men and Black women is dying. Look, let me just share this with y'all very quickly, because this is when I was reading about this story, then you read about the rules that they had at this high school in Texas. It reminded me, and I might be very extreme in using this as a comparison. So anybody can, y'all can definitely check me on this. But I remember that when white settlers came to this part of the world and they found Native American people here, whether those white settlers came from Europe and all over the world, right? And they found Native Americans here already. So they didn't discover it. They were folks already here. They went through the very horrific treatment, and I'm speaking of our Native American family members, went through the very horrific treatment of being, quote unquote, what they call sanitized. So one of the big things, along with schools, putting these Native Americans in schools, because the white settlers at that time said that they were savages, they were uncivilized. They put them in schools. They put them in garbs and garments that white settlers were wearing. They took them out of their traditional home garments that Native Americans wore. And then they cut their hair. And you saw, if you go back through the history, folks, you see the pictures of Native Americans with short hair. I want y'all to just walk with me through this. That's what I thought when I was reading what the policies were at this school of East Bernard High School. Check this out. I want to share this with you. The East Bernard Independent School District. It said, let me make sure I'm finding it, that the dress code policy stated that braided hair or cornrows will not be allowed. It also said the code also prohibits boys' hair, check this out, from extending below the eyebrows, below the tops of the ears, or below a conventional stand-up shirt collar. This includes, but is not limited to, tall hairstyles, side swept bang styles, and long hair dangling over shaved sides or shaved back of the head. This also includes mullets and mullets in the making.
Not mullets in the making.
Not mullets in the making. Mullets in the making.
Don't even start a mullet. Don't cut your sides and do a number one.
Right. Check this out. It goes as far as to say below the eyebrows and below the tops of the ears.
Yeah, you about to be expelled right now, Farajii. I'm looking at you. Your locks is dangling. I see one past your eyebrow.
You know what I'm saying? My locks are dangling. My joints in the back.
I see it on your ear. You gotta go. You gotta go trim up.
And I like the way they feel over top of my ears. You feel what I'm saying?
I guess I already dropped out, huh?
Bruh.
Don't go to Texas.
You wouldn't make it, son.
Y'all don't need to go to Texas anyway.
I already dropped out.
You wouldn't make it. You wouldn't
Stay
make
out of
it.
Texas.
But I'm just saying, look at the audacity of the policy that takes away one's individuality. Oh my God.
That's
the shit that I'm talking about.
And they still expect the people to prepay for their energy.
So I'm paying I'm paying your salary as a taxpayer, right? I'm paying your salary, and you're gonna tell me how to express myself?
So
it's not even expression. It's live.
Right. Exactly.
This is I woke up like we wake up like
I get it.
this.
You're right.
The same way the suave girl, the same way the same they wake up like that.
Right.
They wake up like that. And then they go to school, they go to work, they go into the world. This is the problem with the dominant culture. You know what I'm saying? With the this is the problem, because the dominant culture does not even represent the dominant race. And so and so we have this issue. We gotta stop. We gotta stop bowing. We gotta stop bowing to our
Jules, what's your take, bro?
So all right, I got a couple things. So all right, one, it's always like I guess I'm like just a disobedient child. Why? All right, why? What's all this hair policy for? Why? Another why. Why are states like this so long? Why is it taking y'all so long to adjust to the regular society of what's going on, the change? There's like you're still trying to
answer that question, bro.
I'm right. I know. But I was,
and it's not even. I mean, it could be deep down racism,
right?
But it comes down to the fact that in this country, some white people feel like they're losing, and guess what? They are. They can't accept that reality. Them days are over, baby.
You can't have an abortion in Texas. Right. Like there's a lot like that's happening in Texas when it comes to them trying very hard to re-energize their population.
Right. I want to give Jules a chance. Go ahead, Jules. Go ahead and finish your thought. Like we just jumped in.
No, it's not because this is like a discussion. Like I'm not doing it for like to be heard. Like, no, this is perfect discussion and dialogue, because I'm just like, it's annoying to me because I've already dealt with every single racism thing you can throw at me. I'm young, I'm black, I have dreads, I have tattoos, I have fronts, and I don't give a shit because I wear all that at work. I have my tattoos out at my job, and nobody's ever told me put nothing away. You know why? Because I do my goddamn job. That's what the thing is about. When you hire me to do a job. You don't hire me and say, oh, well, I'm hiring you based off your hair or based off your looks or how you speak. You don't know what the hell you get when you interview me. I'm here to do my damn job. So how I look doing my job is how I look. Of course, the only thing you need to say is neat and presentable. That's all I care about. Be neat and presentable. And like, I feel like you shouldn't even have to say that, because that should be already something embedded in your mind when you're going into these institutions, industries, education, or whatever. I don't know what the hell Texas' problem is. Florida's problem, especially with these black athletes. I remember watching the video, was it 2 years ago, when he had to cut the man's hair before he did his daggone before the
wrestling match?
The wrestling match.
Yeah, brother.
Cut the man's
hair.
Heartbreaking.
That was heartbreaking.
Like y'all doing like you said, doing the most.
Doing the most, bro.
That's like, all right, bro. Like, so what is like? I'm getting pissed because like, all right, I can't like. I know the law down there I can't control. I get that. But it's like we're dealing in a different time now. Like, bro, all that y'all controlling everything. Like we had to talk about in the previous segment. I don't have to go through Netflix and all these other people to do my streamers. I can get my own distribution. So let me get my own hair, how I want to wear it to do what I want to do in life. It's not going to stop me from being a doctor, lawyer, or it's not going to stop me from being an educator. It's not going to stop me from being an activist. It's not going to stop me from being in politics. That my hair is not going to stop me. Yeah. My voice and my record, like what my education, what my knowledge is, that's what's going to give me in that position. Don't matter what the hell my hair look like, or where my tattoos at, or what. Like, it doesn't matter. That's the point we got to get to. And this is like, it's pissing me off. I'm more passionate about it because I deal with it still. Because like I said, I get every stereotype you can get, but I don't care. Like, you hired me to do a job, I'm going to do my damn job. I know I work for the man. I don't have my own company. If I have my own company, of course I wouldn't care, because I can rock my dress. I can do whatever I want to. But as long as I'm working in a systematic society that has rules and bylaws, I get it. I'm not going to break it, but I'm also going to bend it to the extent I can just to get my job done. It is what it is. Like, I'm not going to fight against something that I don't like. To me, I'm not going to fight a case that's going to not benefit me in the long run. I'm just going to do what I can on my end, wear my hair. I'm gonna wear my hair and do what I got to do to continue living my life in this world that I'm, slowly trying to make it through.
There it is. Let me say, Janae checked in and said, the crazy part is this is adopted from the military that we fought in and for. Yep. Right. Jacqueline Jackson said, if the natives didn't accept the Christian doctrine, then they forced them out and or murdered their people. History. Yep. And Mike V said they scalp indigenous people. And that's what it is. It's illegal scalping.
Yeah.
It's illegal scalping, folks.
That's what they do. Sorry.
Go ahead, B. You got 30 seconds.
This would not be happening to our direct children in primary school if we did not abandon our Black schools for Brown versus Board of Education.
B. I want to stop you right there, sis, because you try to open up another can. I can't have that right now.
Yeah.
You right there, though. You right there.
Facts.
You right there.
We could debate it next week. Facts, though.
I'm with that. I'm with that 100%.
I mean, we lost something in that. We lost something
in
the integration of schools.
Exactly. Yeah, we
gave it up because nowhere in the law said that we had to close our schools. What happened? We were so fascinated by the white gaze, we ran to their schools and shut our doors. And so this is what happens. Hopefully, we'll get our act together.
We wanted to be included by races that didn't even want us included. That's the freaking problem.
That colonized us to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, drink your tea on that one, B.
You feels me?
Because you're right. See, there is something that we lose in the assimilation. There is something that we lose. We have lost, And Jules and B, y'all both know, we have lost not just our rights to the agency of our bodies, we have lost our souls. We have lost the courage and the desire to think for ourselves. I mean, we've lost a lot.
And backbone.
We've lost a lot. From one to, and we've lost so much because we wanted to be seen and accepted in a way that was unnatural for us.
For them to steal our culture and use it as theirs, but we don't want to have that discussion right now, do we?
Fact, bro. And this ain't hate talk. This is absolute reality. This is true, folks. Y'all know it, and I know it. And if you first time you watching the show, just look at the history. This ain't about racism and all of that. That's silly. I'm talking about what happened to a people that was destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Because simply, people often look at us and be like, man, y'all so angry, y'all get upset. But we were destroyed simply because of the color of our skin, or because we believe differently, or because we had a different culture, and we were destroyed. Almost, let me say that, almost destroyed. But we were so made to look and to be unlike our original selves so much that it's just broke us down. And so now what you're seeing, and as we wrap up on this part of the conversation, what we're seeing right now is a pushback from the next generation, like Jules and others, who are saying, man, I'm not doing that no more, man. Them days are done. Yeah. We're not doing this. And you can't pass on fear to your children. I refuse to do that. B, you know it. We've had conversation about our sons. Jules, God willing, when you're at that place of being a father, you will certainly understand it even more. I know you know it now, though. But we're not passing fear on to this next generation. That thing is dead. I'm not teaching my son, even though he might be around other, white boys, Latino boys, Asian boys. You're not afraid, son. We're not passing fear on to you. So, but I mean, we were destroyed, man. And that's what it comes out to. Like you said, B, this is this is I'm trying to think of the right word, but this is the result of wanting to be so close.
Wanting to be so close that you turn your back on what you've already established. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the part, that's the part that we need to be able to understand moving forward as we advance our business model of being Black in America.
There it is. Look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's talk about teachers and educators and why we need to appreciate them. Plus, we got today's Trends Post and Doing the Most. Folks, we got a great show happening, so stay with us. It's The Culture right here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punching! Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on that.
Hey, Black, I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have, you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it. Please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
All right, folks. Well, this week it is officially Teacher Appreciation Week. Starting today and running all the way through Friday of this week, May the 6th, teachers are going to be appreciated, and there are going to be a number of special deals, free food, and other giveaways that are going to be happening. So today here on The Culture, Black Star Network, we're going to do our part to appreciate the teachers and just to say thank you to all of the fantastic educators out there. Now, as we talk about Teacher Appreciation Week, I'm not for a free deal, a free meal. No. Teachers need much more than a free meal. They need much more than a free meal. It's all well and good, and it might satisfy us. For those of us who aren't in the classroom, we might feel like it's a steal. Oh my gosh, you can get something free for free. But the reality is the weight of being an educator in this country right now is so heavy. Not because of the pandemic, but because we in this country have yet to truly value the educator. And I want to bring back in my culture crew, my man Jules P., who is a hip-hop artist and activist, and B Fly, who is the co-founder of Blackwater Production House and the founder of Black Jesus Entertainment. Jules and B, bump the free meal, the free donut, the free coffee, all that stuff, the 10% off at your local retailer. Pay these teachers. Pay them. I mean, seriously. They wouldn't, look, if you paid them enough, you wouldn't feel like you got to give them away something for free. But pay them. Pay them. I don't get it. Like, when we talk about, and we say it be all the time, we talk about, oh my gosh, children are the future. How do you think they're going to know their future or be the future if there wasn't for an educator? I don't understand this. The hypocrisy around education in this country is just mind-blowing. What's your take?
I think, this week I am occupying Teacher Appreciation Week in kind of in an interesting way. Like I've committed to buckling in and teaching Jazz how to effectively tie his shoes so his teacher can stop having to even deal with that part in the day, you know? And so it's like, it's little things like that that I feel, you know what I'm saying, like will help to make the landscape of teaching a little bit more sustainable for our everyday teachers, you know. And most of the time, like, I would give it up, like 80 to 90% of the teachers that I experience in my walk of life every day, you know, are really in it to deposit positivity into the children. You know, there's only a few teachers who are there just as a job placeholder.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that I experience. And so this is that period of time where, you know, you just drop a little something in their bucket. It would be amazing if during Teacher Appreciation Week, they were able to maybe receive the salary of the principal.
Oh my gosh.
For that week.
Oh my gosh.
Because at the end of the day, like, the principal is admin, but it's the teachers that are on the ground, you know? So it's like, if even like for a week, like that is real and it's doable fiscally, you know what I'm saying? Like within the school system, public and private, you know? And so it's like, there are ways, but you know, it takes savvy leadership, you know what I'm saying? And we have to be able to switch the powers that be at the table in order to bring in like clear change that won't break the bank, but is also real, you know?
Right. Jules, what's your take? Teacher Appreciation Week kicks off today.
We sent $33 billion to Ukraine. Okay, no, I just make sure I'm just saying we have money. I'm just saying if there's money there.
Run these calculations real quick.
Just saying if there was any money left to pay educators.
Where we get 33 billion, Jules? We got 33 billion in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I thought we were like, that. But,
damn.
Okay.
It's like Jay-Z money, like, 33 billion in like 3 weeks. Like,
okay, but we can't buy educators. Okay. I feel like for teachers, educators, that's the definition of do something you love, regardless if you get paid for it. Because if you look at what they do, the tasks they have at hand, with so many lives they're affecting that's in their hands, and the salaries that they're making doesn't equal up to the job that they perform and do.
How much, Jules, let me ask you a question. How much would you teach? I mean, how much would you pay a teacher? Like realistically, given the fact of the cost of living from California to Maryland, how much do you think a teacher should start off with?
I'm not even going to do it off of the cost of living. You know what I'm going to do it off of? I'm going to do it off the lives are changing. So think about it. If I got students that are going to become doctors and lawyers or athletes, I have students that might be supervisors or students that might just be regular workers. Give me the medium scale of that. So give me essence of, I say at least 60 to 75.
60 to 75.
At least. And that's also
to start.
Because that's basing it upon where you live at. So like I said, like, of course, you know, cost of living in California going to be a little bit higher. Florida's a little bit higher. Maryland is high. New York is high. But then you have other states that might, you know, 60 might be living like a boss. So I would say
teachers get paid. Yep, that's true. That's true. But the cost of living.
Cost of living,
yeah. So 60 to 70,000.
Yeah, because 60. I say 75 because, like I said, for the states like your bigger states, your California, your Florida, your Texas, your New Yorks that have the cost of living. Yeah, it's a lot higher than just a regular average. You know what we're dealing with in other states. Yeah, and I feel like that's my basic starting point. But that's not to say that they also need to get signing bonuses, other bonuses throughout the year, quarterly bonuses. True. I feel like you can't just base it off of, all right, this is your salary and this is what you're doing, because again, you're affecting so many lives. I look at where I've been at in life, the different jobs I've worked, the different fields I've been, going to college, all the educators that were a part of my life, I've taken lessons from all of them. They had a major part. And it's like, me repaying them would be, being successful in life. Okay, that's a credit to my teachers. But what benefit do they get financially to compensate for the work that they put in? Because again, You're waking up every day, creating lesson plans. You have to go to school on those what is it they call what's the days, professional development days. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like it's like they put so much work into it. I have friends that work in the school system who, you know, told me the stories about, you know, roughly between maybe June and September, that lull of not getting anything because school's out. So it's like,
so you and I think that's an excellent point you brought up, bro, because we don't even pay teachers full year, a full 12 months. We only pay them for 9 or 10 months. Right. And it's absolutely insane that, and I know people often say, well, you can't, it's apples and oranges in terms of entertainers and stuff like that. But I mean, I want y'all to really think with me on this. I mean, we're paying teachers like $45,000, $50,000 to be in some of the toughest environments, to deal with some of the most undisciplined, you know, children and young people that have legitimate mental health issues. You're paying them to deal with
teaching is an
systems.
option.
I mean, you're dealing with a system that constantly goes to war with you on everything from buying a pencil to all the way to disciplinary issues. I mean, 45 to 50,000, maybe 55 in some space, in some areas of the country, 60 if you brought some level of experience, but it's still not enough.
Not enough.
Hey, Keenan, let me know if you got this tweet. You got the tweet ready? All right, we're gonna get I want us to show this tweet as we had this conversation, because again, I'm not here on here. I love educators. Of course, I'm married to an educator. The whole idea of being an educator should not be a situation where you physically, emotionally assume teaching as being a painful experience. And unfortunately, a lot of teachers are going through that. They're going through issues of anxiety. They're going through issues of PTSD. And I'm not even joking. This is real stuff. Like, educators are going through all of these things. They're getting a lot of the traumas that they suffered as a child is being reignited because they see it in other children and with their children and their parents. I mean, it's mind-blowing. I wanted to show this tweet. Check this out, y'all. This is just a random tweet, and I saw it and I was like, I love it. He said, you want to know how, Brad said, how to appreciate teachers, pay them what they're worth, show them respect, include their voices in decisions, give them a more manageable workload, give them proper resources, don't make them pay for their own supplies.
It's so basic.
I mean, that's the point, B. It's so basic that people don't get it.
It's so basic, but you know,
Farajii, you're a person. Can you put that back up for me, please, bro? Look how basic this is. Show them respect. I mean, you gotta say it.
Like, you have to say it.
You have to say, pay them what they're worth. Include their voices in decisions. Give them a more manageable workload. Lord Jesus.
Thank you. Farajii, here's the thing. You know, I wish I had a breakdown. I wonder if someone can get me a breakdown, like in our country, of like the ratio of women to men, like who are teachers right now. Because when I look at this list, I'm looking at a list that is riddled with sexism. And so most of the teachers that I know are women, and I'm just, and now I'm kind of understanding why teachers get paid so little. And I'm thinking about historically how women were kind of relegated to teaching and teaching only. You know what I'm saying? And so now, and my mother, rest in peace, you know, who passed away 4 years ago tomorrow, which is in the middle of Teacher Appreciation Week. And she was a retired school teacher, Los Angeles Unified School District for, thank you. And for 30 years. And by the time she retired, my mother was so done. Like, she no longer wanted to teach anybody anything. And it wasn't because of the process of teaching. It was because of the red tape that is riddled with it. And it really makes me wonder if the preschool to prison pipeline is a real actual department. You know what I'm saying? Like, within our secret government, you know, like, is there really, like, are we really destroying teaching and the process of education in order to really line the pockets of corporate America who's investing in our prison system? You know what I'm saying? Because it's like America seems to be having a cost of goods issue since they aren't able to get free labor from us anymore on several different levels. And so now so many products are made from prison. Absolutely. So many products are made, you know what I'm saying, that are literally sustaining the American culture right now, you know? And so it just makes me wonder when I put my my Black conspiracy theorist hat on. It's like, is this intentional? Is this a part of the design? And that's why we got to divest. Like, we have to divest from these systems. Like, we have to figure out how to go Black and private with our public schools.
I mean, it's so long overdue, B and Jules, that we have to figure out an alternative educational experience, especially for Black and brown children, right? We have to figure it out. And the alternative educational experience doesn't have to be devoid of white.
At all.
It doesn't have to. And I think that's one of the big concerns is, like, if you have an Afrocentric curriculum, that white students shouldn't be a part of that. No, they should.
They need to be the first one.
They need to be up at the head of the class.
Taking notes. Memorization. Hey, look. You take these flashcards home, Becky.
I'm telling you. Look. I'm we kind of making fun. I'm telling you the truth. Like, I remember being in school and my teacher, because I talked a lot in school, so she was like, "You like to talk?" And I was like, "Yeah, I like to talk." And she pulled my desk right next to hers, literally. I stopped talking then because I ain't want to talk to her.
Well, see, now you feel you facilitating all the conversation.
Right,
I was like, "Oh, okay. I'm not talking to her no more. I'm not talking." So, but I'm just saying, like we act as if other people couldn't gain or won't be able to gain if we learn about our history and ourselves. And then you have white students, you have, Latino students, you have immigrant students coming in. Everybody can gain from Black education.
Everyone, because it's the truth.
Because Black education has every group of people is rolled up in Black people.
Right. To tell a Black story is to tell a real story.
To tell a Black story, B, is to tell a global story. There it is.
Real talk, and so when we tell a white story, that story gets wrapped in science fiction and fantasy and all of these other elements that have nothing to do with real life. And we're back to the white gaze, propagating these ideas of femininity and masculinity and all of the shit that we're all tired of. Like, all races are woke now to their own blues, and so it's like, because of that, it's we have to hold them accountable at this point,
Let me just tell you.
Hold the line.
Let me just tell you. President Biden had, his proclamation earlier today announcing this Teacher Appreciation Week. I really hope and pray that somebody within the government of conscience, I don't care who it is, Black or white person, somebody says, let's have a much different conversation about how we treat teachers in this country. Let's do something more than what we're already doing. It's funny that we are having a conversation about Teacher Appreciation Week, and yet the student loan debt is so high. It's funny that we have a conversation about everybody's on talking about Teacher Appreciation Week, yet schools are failing in the inner cities across this country.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about having, it's Teacher Appreciation Week, and high number of professionals are leaving the teaching field because they're not getting the support that they need and the resources that they need and the overall mental health care that they need to stay in the field.
Let's talk about how there was a global pandemic for 2 years where kids were, basically working at home. And after 2 years of returning, I see the school still ain't got air.
Y'all had 2 years. The infrastructure of the school falling apart.
Y'all was closed. Y'all had 2 years.
Y'all had 2 years.
They still got to stay home on hot days.
And look, check it out. Hey, Jules, and you know it and I know it. It's going to go down in the budget as being a year of operation.
Mm-hmm. They changed locker combinations. That was the operation.
Hey, look, let me tell you, we bringing all these things up, folks, because at the end of the day, if you want to really appreciate teachers, show them that you are willing to support them in their decision to become an educator of not just your child, but everyone. Teachers are the most valuable resource, one of the most valuable resources that we have in our society today. And it's a shame that they are the most underappreciated, underrated group of people in our society today. Absolutely a shame. B Fly, Jules P, thank y'all, man, for the spirited conversation today here on The Culture. I love and appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Hey, real quick, before we jump off, I promise B this really quickly. B, you did have your event, Amethyst Love Gods. You had asked me to come and be a part of that, to host your special film festival, which was selected and awarded by the Maryland Film Festival for 2022. So
congratulations.
Your big film. Keenan, when you get a chance, take a look at the what's the website, B, that people can check this wonderful film out, or where they can find more information about this film.
Well, feel free to go to blackjesus.com and continue downloading Black Jesus, just as is, Black, SHESUS.com. Amethyst Love Gods, Wedding of the Afro Future is an amazing Afro fantasy production directed by Evie Miller, starring myself and my husband, Chariz Marcel. It's a wonderful work of art that is casted with over 50 Baltimore artists, and boom, that's the homepage of our website right now. Get to know ALG. The downloads have been running. Farajii, thank you so much for participating in the Blackwater Renegade Film Festival. You know, I realized during this period of time that that acceptance does not, just because you've been accepted does not always mean you go. And I realized that this week, when I decided to occupy our Black space with our Black film, and it was very important. And I received signs throughout the entire month, for reals, that I wasn't going to necessarily be happy with the way my work was presented. And so once I understood what my calling was of this week, I realized that the calling was to really occupy my own business with my film, with my husband, with my community, and with you. Like, this was so important. And so if I had focused solely on the Parkway, solely on the Maryland Film Festival, I would not have had the opportunity of talking with so many people about the work in such an intimate way. And so I thank you for coming through, Farajii, and holding space with us, and continue to download and stream ALG. Like, the reason I talk about our own distribution is because it is real. Like, whenever I receive a download and a message from someone who is consuming my film who I do not know, I know that I've done the right thing. I know that. you know, and so in time we'll be advertising more and we'll be able to get to larger reach. And
That's
it
right.
takes this, you know, Black Star Network and BlackSheezus.com and all of these independent ventures to really let people know, like, we can do this ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We're creative enough. We've been in this game for over 50,000 hours. So we know how to get the message to the people, Farajii.
Absolutely.
So, thank you.
Hey, thank you, AB. You know, we go way back. But more importantly, I'm always happy. I was so humbled to be a part of the conversation, to just hold space with you and your husband and your family, and just to hold space with your tribe. And more importantly, just to help to amplify the work that you're doing on the film side of things, you know, telling our story in a very, very special and unique way. So, of course, I was going to be there. And again, I wanted to let folks know that you are a force to be reckoned with culturally. You know, people are loving your insight and your analysis, but to see your creativity on film, to see you be in that space, is something to behold. So we definitely wanted to show our appreciation to you as an artist, as a thinker, as a mother, as a wife. Because, you know what I mean, this is exactly what we're saying when we saying being good for the culture. You are being good for the culture, and we appreciate and love you, B. So that's just from me, from the bottom of my heart, sis. You know what I mean? We family. As you say, love is law.
Family is business.
Family is business. There it is. Hey, Jules, my man, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you, man. Always appreciate your insight, man. Thank you for checking in today.
No problem.
All right, folks. That is going to do it for us. I hope you enjoyed the conversations just as much as I did. Make sure y'all check us out at blackstarnetwork.com. We have been streaming a lot of footage. Big shout out to my man Keenan. Big shout out to my producers Joel and Shannon. We just continue to do the work, but we've been streaming a lot on Black Star Network. Make sure y'all check it out. Remember, on Friday we had the 30th anniversary of the LA riots, LA uprising. In response to the verdict of the Rodney King trial. That is streaming right now, and a host of other things are streaming right now on Black Star Network. So make sure y'all support us in any way, shape, or form. Financial support is always welcome, but even if you can't give, make sure you put out there that you're downloading the app on your tablet, on your phones, on your TV. Tell your friends and family about it. Everything is free. Everything is free because we want you to have full access to the programming, to everything that we're doing, and that can all be found at blackstarnetwork.com. All right, that's going to do it for me. I appreciate each and every one of you. Stay tuned. At the 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time hour is Roland Martin Unfiltered with Big Brother Roland Martin. Uncle Roro always got something to say. And as always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong, stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Peace.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.